Today I'm here with my grandpa, Steve Bell. He was the first senior class in the new high school, which is the high school that we are in now. As a graduate from Salina High School, he's also a Vietnam War veteran. Steve, how are you doing today?
Good.
That's good. Got a couple questions for you about your new high school, which is my new high school, or which is my high school now, and then your time in the war in Vietnam. So you used to go to high school at the Ed Complex, which is the Ed Complex now, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How did it feel to walk into the new high school for the first time?
It felt nice having a new school for a change. After all these years, our schools was getting really old, and that was a very nice school. We thought it was really good.
So with the new school coming to Salina now, people were very angry and mad about it because it's going to cost so much and with tax money, whatever. Were they mad back then, like when the new school was coming to Salina?
Not so much. Back then, it wasn't near the amount of money that it is nowadays.
Yeah.
I think that the majority of the town, they did vote for it, and they wanted it real bad. So I don't think that bothered them quite so much.
Because they needed a new school.
Right.
Yeah, and then how old were you, and how long was it after high school did you get drafted to Vietnam? So after you graduated from the new high school, how long was that? And how old were you?
Same year. I was 18 when I graduated, and then I was 18 when I got married, and then I was 18 also. When I got drafted into the Army.
Which is awesome. After you got drafted, what was kind of your reaction? Like, were you shocked, or were you kind of expecting to get drafted, or were you like kind of mad about getting drafted? Like, what was your reaction to seeing that letter that you got drafted?
Well, I wasn't really shocked because at that time everybody seemed to be going into the service because so I was expecting to be drafted. I wasn't really expected to be drafted like 4 months after I got married, anything like that. But all we could do is go in when they say and
listen to them.
Well, yeah.
Now, what was basic, was it not fun? Was it?
Basically, all they did was yell at you from the minute you got there to the time you left. They were just, if you can stand the harassment, there'd be nothing to basic training.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of harassment.
Oh, I bet. Now, how long was the first basic training you went to?
The first basic training was at Fort Benning, Georgia.
Okay.
And that, I believe, was 2 or 3 months. I forget just what it was.
2 or 3.
And then...
now, you said you were put to a test, right? And then you tested to become a military policeman?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, they just gave tests out, according to what they thought you could do in the service in a war zone and so forth. And I was very lucky not to go into
the front lines.
The front lines, but. So I was happy to have a dog too. The whole time I was there, I had somebody to talk to.
So now you went to a military police school, is that right?
Yes.
Where was that at, and how long was that?
And the military police school was in Fort Gordon, Georgia, and it was only 6 weeks or something like that.
And then where'd you go after that? And
then after that is when I got to come home for a week before I was going to go to Vietnam.
Yep. So you went out so then where'd you go after you came home? You went out to California?
Yeah.
And then
I went to California And then from there, it went straight to Okinawa for our training.
For your dog training?
Yes.
And you were there for 6 weeks?
Yeah, I'd say at least 6 weeks. And we got the dogs. I ended up having 2 dogs. The first one was named Sheba, and it was she turned out to not be able to train well enough because we had to train him to kill.
Yep.
And
she was too nice.
Yeah, she was too nice of a dog. So so they gave me another dog. The dog's name was Ferdell, which I didn't name, but it turned out it was a very good dog and could be trained well.
And that's the dog you ended up bringing with you to Vietnam?
Right. And so we got on after the training there, we got on a cargo plane and set in slings with the dogs between our legs on a trip to Vietnam.
Now, when you got off that plane, like that cargo plane, you stepped out, what was like your first impression of Vietnam?
It was very hot and very wet. They have a monsoon season there, and that was just starting, and that's where it just rained day and night all the time. So everywhere you went in Vietnam, you just walked through mud. Mm-hmm. And when we were on post, I mean, it just poured all the time. We were out on post all night long because we worked nights. And
so yeah, tell me a little bit about that. So tell me, like, so what did you guys do as your job as a military policeman in the Army over in Vietnam?
We guarded the ammunition. It was in a huge field, and it was guarded by, it had the wire, barbed wire, yep, all the way around it, and then we had the towers so far apart all the way around the area.
Now,
and we walked between towers, yep, with our dogs at night.
Now, how many guys were like normally like? So you would have 2 towers. You would walk in between. How many guys
would walk there, and then you'd turn down and go the other way, and there would be another dog handler, and then another tower, and a dog handler, and another tower, and keep on going all the way around. So I can't remember just how many dogs it was per night that we used out there, but it was I was suppose it was huge area that we did. I suppose there was 25 dog handlers working per night.
Wow. So now, like, when you guys were in Vietnam, you guys only worked nights, right?
Yeah.
So, like, in the day, what would you guys do in your free time?
Well, we had a lot of things they made us do, like KP, mm-hmm, kitchen patrol, and we did lots of other jobs around that had to be done around, mm-hmm, there for.
Now, what did you guys do for fun? Like, so you guys weren't working. Like, what would you guys do for fun?
We would try to play a little baseball if we could, and set up run bases or something, and also some volleyball, mm-hmm, and try to do some stuff like that when we had time.
So we were talking about this the other day, and there's concerts that you guys have over there in Vietnam. Is this correct? And it would be
correct.
Who are the people that would come over and like perform for you guys?
Well, at that time there was a comedian, Bob Hope was his name, and he was also in lots of movies that he made, and with him was Raquel Welch, which was a famous actress at the time. And they brought a band with them so, mm-hmm, that they had music to play, and they did, comedians and
jokes and
all kinds of stuff.
Now, there was a bunch of you guys there. I mean,
and there were just thousands and thousands of people watching that show that night. And but it was really good.
That's good. That is good. What was the best memory you had over there, like with your dog?
Well, just being with it all the time was
Yeah.
really nice because you just, like I say, you had somebody to talk to and be with. Sure beats being out there in the infantry and the front lines.
I bet. Now, like, what was the most, like, so you've told me stories of your dog. Like, what's your, like, favorite story of your dog over there?
I think my favorite story is when I was on post one night and I just kneeled down to take a short break, and my dog hopped behind me and he grabbed a snake, and snakes in Vietnam, 99% of them are poisonous, so he pretty much saved my life that night.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Really is. Now, like, what's the most dangerous situation you were in?
We were on post one night, and all of a sudden we had incoming fire from the barbed wire out in the perimeter, and it was shooting right at us. And I pulled the dog down, and we both laid flat because there wasn't any place to go hide. There wasn't even a ditch there for us to get down
Just
underneath.
an open field.
We were just, so that was
The most
pretty scary
Yeah, I bet.
to get machine gun fire at you, and you could just see flashes of where it was coming, like, you know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's scary for sure. So, other than, like, getting shot at and patrolling that area with, like, enemies in it, what would you say over in Vietnam was the most dangerous time to be there?
I would say the most dangerous time for me was the Tet Offensive, they called it, and that's when the Viet Cong was planning on attacking every place they could at the same time. At that time, too, they told us that they were going to be in our area and be coming across this field to us, and we spent the last couple of weeks that I was over there in a ditch just overlooking this field because there were supposed to be thousands of them coming. And the Viet Cong didn't care about women or children or anything, and we were told that they would have women and children coming in front of them, and we were supposed to shoot them if we had to, because it was either them or us, you know. So it was something.
Sounds like a bad situation.
It was a bad situation. That's all you could think about was, oh, I'm not going to shoot a kid or a woman, but it turned out, thank goodness, that they didn't attack this particular place we was at. And
They attacked other areas then?
oh yeah, they attacked a lot of them, and it was getting to pretty close to the end of the war because they were doing so good at attacking a lot of places at the same time.
So that was 2 weeks before you came home, is that right? That happened?
And we spent the last 2 weeks just in this ditch waiting for them to attack us.
It's a long time.
Yeah, it was.
So when you came home, what was the community like when you came home?
Well, when I came home, most of the people didn't like the war at all. They didn't talk about it. They never said anything to us, really. Mm-hmm. The family was very happy I was home, of course. I was happy I was home also. But it got to where nobody said anything to you about the war, and they didn't want to know anything about it. And if they could get out of it, they would go to another country, you know, and just leave the United States because they didn't want a war.
So were the people so mad about the war?
They just didn't like to talk about it. They didn't think we should be in a war, so they just didn't. They didn't care, I guess, you know, about it. So they just didn't talk about it.
So when you came home, you still had time to serve, correct?
Yes, I still had Oh, I think there's 3 months or
3 months.
so time yet. So they sent me to Buffalo, New York, and we had a underground missile site there. It was a big field. Here again, lots of fields.
Just looked like a
And it
cornfield or
looked
what?
yeah, and there was cows in it and everything, but it was all underground. We would go underground where all these missiles are lined up for emergency, for a war, or anything.
Yeah.
They could press a button and they go
Raise
up
up.
out of the ground and shoot. So that was,
That's pretty sweet.
but that's where I spent my last
3
few
months.
months of the time in the Army.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for your service and thank you for coming on this interview.
Okay, thank you.